What's going on, people? It's Sailor Turn Gamer. We are back in the building and we are here with another Anthem video. Jesse Anderson, the community manager, just posted some information on the upcoming update 1.0.3 and it's expected to release anywhere between 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time, March 9th. And I have to say, yes, March 9th. That is tomorrow, people. I'm excited. I am so excited. The reason why I'm excited is because I love reading patch notes. I'm expecting a lot, and I'm so ready to find out. Stay here, and you'll be officially up to date on the latest in Anthem, ranging from patch notes, news and updates, community Q&A roundups, educational videos, and much more. We're going to be breaking down the updates by categories, and you can find timestamps to that in the description box below. If you enjoy the video, please give it a like and a share, and join the fleet by hitting that sub button. Now let's get into this update. So the very first category we're going to be talking about is high level fixes and changes. So we got a few of those. Respawn restrictions have been removed. The respawn timers are now based on the activity a player is in. Crit path, agent missions, and non-end game missions have now been given a respawn timer of 10 seconds. Strongholds, legendary contracts, and other in-game missions now have a respawn timer of 30 seconds. The respawn timer free play remains unchanged. Loot changes. Whites and green drops are officially, as of the patch, when that goes live, will no longer be in the game for anyone that is player level 30. So that is awesome. Dwindling down the things that we don't need so we can focus on getting the things that we do. They've improved stability for all platforms. This includes fixes for a number of issues that were causing crashes or connection problems. They also made audio improvements. They fixed a number of issues that will cause audio to drop out. Awesome. Now we're moving on to some general fixes and improvements. And we got a lot of them, people. They fixed a number of issues that were blocking players from accessing the Forge. That's no longer an issue. All missions should now properly end when a condition has been met. The inbox now properly displays information on PC. The inbox is where the news is fed. They fixed an issue that will cause players to be unable to interact with NPCs at Fort Tarsis. That's no longer going to be an issue. The vault is no longer accessible from the Forge. It's unfortunate. But this change was made to improve performance, so it had to be done. They fixed an issue that will cause the game to hang when entering menus while on an expedition. Titans will no longer respawn on missions after they've been defeated. And here's an example. If players defeat 2 out of the 3 Titans and the third wipes, the first 2 will not reappear when the player respawns during the mission. So you don't have to worry about that. It's a lot more easier to get these missions done, and it's streamlined, and it's less of a headache whenever you have to deal with one of those contracts that involve you defeating 3 Titans. No biggie. Server shutdown messages should now appear less often, which is great because that can be annoying and it blocks crucial information on our screens. The ability to quick play into a stronghold has been added back into the game, so now you can kind of do a random stronghold if that's something that you want to do. For you PC players out there, mouse button 4 is no longer bound to the back button. Crashes that occurred while selecting certain conversation options when interacting with an NPC have now been fixed. Players should no longer get stuck at the end of the Tomb of General Tarsus mission, so all you new guys out there, you don't have to worry about that. Players should now run into less issues during quick play missions. Additional improvements to quick play will be coming in the future updates, which is awesome. So that is telling us that hopefully once we hop in with this update, it's going to be a lot easier to run quick play, which is very important because they do have an in-game quest that's tied into that. I don't want to go into detail about that just in case there's some new players that haven't got that far yet, but I'm happy that they fixed that quick play issue. Players should no longer get stuck behind fog walls on missions or in strongholds as often, which is great because that's really annoying. Players should now receive credit for There Will Be Giants challenge when they are down and when an event is active. They improve the audio when defeating creatures to provide better feedback. Change wording for server shutdown messages to better indicate that it is just the player's server shutting down and not the entire game server, which is awesome because the first time that happened to me, I'm like, what is going on? Like, the game server shutting down? Like, what? And I had to do a little bit of research just to understand what was happening. Players may now launch an expedition from anywhere within the launch bay. For those PlayStation players out there, the LED lights will now change based on the javelin being used. It's also should now be harder for players to get stun locked by certain enemy compositions. Good. Less stun lock is a great thing. The values on max flight time inscriptions have been increased. The appearance of the N7 vinyl on the Legion of Dawn armor has been improved. A better look. Halleck will now properly face players during certain dialogue scenes. And last of the general changes and fixes and improvements will be the message, open the Cortex to track the Legionnaire challenges. It'll no longer pop up after completing the appropriate challenges. So no need to worry about that. We're going to quickly move on to Strongholds. We have one Stronghold specific change that we can expect in this patch. And that reads as the following. They fixed an issue that will cause players to get stuck in the entrance to the sewers in the Temple of the Scar Stronghold, making it easier to complete the mission. They're not lowering the difficulty, obviously, but if there are less issues within the Strongholds or within anything in the game, then it's better for the game. Now, we are going to move on to creature updates. We got a whole lot of creature updates to expect as well. And for the first creature, we're going to focus on the Titan. So, as far as the Titan, they've made several balance changes to all of the variations of Titans. They reduced overall damage mitigation from 100% to anywhere between 70 and 75%. Basically depends on the damage type. They increased the time that weak points are exposed. So it'll be a little bit easier to kill these Titans. They fixed an issue that prevented effects from applying and thus preventing combos, which is awesome because now we're going to be able to reliably combo these guys. And a build that I'm going to be releasing later on in a video is my Ranger combo build. So yes, I'm going to be a Titan killer. Awesome. The damage that a Titan takes from his weak points, that has been increased, so it's going to be even easier. Those weak points are going to be open a little bit longer. We're going to be able to do more damage. And then as far as lesser Titans, their weak points have been changed to always be active, so those lesser Titans are really not going to be a threat. They improved the collision on the ring and sinking projectile attacks. This should make them easier to dodge because stuff goes on with those things. They decreased the radiance of the seeking projectile attacks. They decreased the damage done by the self-destruct ability. Frozen Scar Enforcers and Scrappers can no longer move or attack while frozen. So much easier. The Monitor's health has been greatly reduced in the Heart of Rage Stronghold. So maybe Heart of Rage is worth doing? And guess we'll find out. Players will be less likely to repetitively stagger by heavy attacks. So no longer need to worry about the annoying stagger that exists in the game. Maybe it's much easier and less noticeable. And the last of the creature updates is an adjustment. The adjustment to the force applied by some creature attacks down, which will lower the frequency of players being staggered. So they lower the amount of times you can get staggered, and they lower the overall stagger from certain creatures. So that is awesome. Less stagger, less annoyance. Much easier to play the game. Better time, better happiness. Let's move on to damage and item scaling changes. So, with our damage and item scaling changes, we got a few of those. They adjusted the damage scaling of secondary damage sources. These now scale with average item power. This will allow the damage sources to better scale in the Grandmaster difficulties. This will increase the scaling of your melee damage, your combo damage, your ultimate damage, status effects, and item procs. And those of you that aren't familiar with item procs, like Yevenia's Thunder. Those of you that don't know what that weapon is, basically when you shoot Yevenia's Thunder, there's a chance for a Thunderbolt to actually proc on an enemy and do additional damage. So they also increase the damage scaling of things like that, making it much easier overall to do more damage in the higher Grandmaster difficulties. Item power scaling has also been changed to better reflect the actual power of the item based on its rarity. This is applied to all items retroactively. So players will be seeing a power increase of your item. So if you have a higher power level, don't freak out. You're in a good place. It's all a part of the update. And at the same time, let me take this opportunity to say, again, so far in Anthem, it's not about your power level. The most important thing are your stats. your primary and secondary stats, and making sure that you can have the highest quality of stats that you can, because that what determines how much damage you actually can do. With that being said, we are going to move on to gameplay bug fixes. Okay, so with the gameplay bug fixes, we have the ultimate ability bar will no longer appear full at the start of the mission when it isn't actually full, so that's good. Weapon recall will now stop once an exo is looking straight up. They fixed a number of animation issues that could occur when the Colossus was using his shield. It should no longer be possible for the Interceptor to become frozen while starting up with their ultimate. The Interceptor's aura damage will now deal the correct type of damage based on the active aura. Players will no longer equip abilities from one javelin to another. The Colossus can now use gear faster after being attacked by heavy hits from enemies. The Colossus can now shield charge through destructible objects such as explosion, canisters, or harvest nodes. The Colossus now recovers faster after crashing into the walls. So as far as gameplay bug fixes, they made some changes to the Colossus to make him much easier to play. Me personally, I'm not a fan of the Colossus because I feel like he's just too slow. But for those Colossus fans out there, you guys gotta let me know in the comment section how the Colossus feels post-update. I gotta know. Maybe you guys can convince me to put a little bit more time into the Colossus. Let's move on to item balance updates. So as far as item balance updates, they increased the base health of wind wall and bulwark point to provide better scaling and higher difficulties. The duration has been reduced from 20 seconds down to 60 seconds. Unfortunately, we got less duration. It was awesome to have it while it lasted, but it didn't make any sense to have an ability that lasted for a long time that was useless. Now, hopefully, the abilities are actually useful. As a ranger main, I still use bulwark, but primarily because of the stat roll that I have on my bulwarks. But now, I can feel comfortable possibly using the item for defensive purposes. That would be nice. Burst Mortar's damage has been increased to 300, up from 145, and its cooldown has been reduced to 6 seconds, down from 10 seconds. Its description has also been fixed. That's a nice change. Flash Cannon's damage has been increased to 42, up from 30. That's nice. Battle Cry's description has been updated to explain that it also reduces the resistance of affected targets, which is awesome. Wraith Strike's damage has been increased to 250, which is up from 200, and will now apply elemental effect to targets based on its active aura. Boom, that's nice. Also, just a little side note, description for the Wraith Strike that we were just talking about, that's going to be updated in the next update, 1.0.4, at least that's the plan so far. Let's move on to item bug fixes. Wind wall should no longer block or interfere with other players' abilities. Ranger Grenadier component will now correctly lower the cooldown of grenade abilities, which, woo! Again, I can't say it enough. I am a Ranger main, so I'm happy to see this Ranger change. I posted a video a couple days ago talking about some of the issues that I, along with other people in the community, believe to be an issue with the Ranger, and to see them fixing the Grenadier component is nice because I actually have the Grenadier component on one of my builds. And I'm really missing that grenade cooldown. So I definitely can't wait to get in there, throw even more grenades to do even more damage, and combos, because it is a combo build. I'm excited. They fixed an issue where certain weapons were not firing when their crosshairs were aimed. The Ice Blast ability for the Storm Javelin now has the primer icon correctly displayed. Good, making that a lot easier for people to understand. Let's move on to Inscription Bug Fixes. So as far as those bug fixes that are in the inscription section, the thruster delay recovery inscription has now been correctly applying a bonus. The overheat delay recovery inscription is now correctly applying a bonus as well. And lastly, the weapon reload bonus inscription is now correctly applying that bonus. And a little side note for that, these will have a non-updated text value in the next upcoming patch. They wanted to let us know that they made the changes, but there were some, updates to the text that they couldn't actually get in. And I appreciate the transparency on that end for people to understand whether or not if it's actually existing without actually doing texting. It makes it a lot easier for people to get. So we got some Masterwork changes. We're moving on to Masterwork Balance updates, and then after that we're going to cover some Masterwork bug fixes to wrap all of this up. So as far as these balance updates, They increase the base damage of a lot of Masterwork weapons. So, Walrus Blaze, base damage increase. Rolling Carnage, base damage. Cycle of Pain, Last Stand, Glorious Result, Insult and Injury, Sentinel's Vengeance, Nosta's Bomb, Vasa Surprise, Soothing Touch, Renewed Courage, Artenia's Gambit, base damage increase. All of those Masterworks that I just named, base damage increase. If you don't have them, don't worry about it, because when you do get it, it's going to be great. If you do have them, you should be happy, because it's better. So let's move on to some bug fixes for those Masterworks. Runner's Blaze will no longer roll with incorrect inscriptions. So Runner's Blaze is actually an assault rifle, and when you shoot it, it has a chance to actually light your targets on fire. I don't have it, but I really want it. A Blade of Shielding will now provide the proper boost in shield and armor. Badge of Devastation will now generate more ultimate charge when triggered. Woo, woo. That belongs to the Ranger, baby. We getting a buff. It should no longer be possible to stack the effect from Gunslinger's Mark more than once. Boo, unfortunate, but guess it had to be that way. Lastly, in addition to the updates that we talked about today, they wanted to let us know some other known issues that they're working on. When reloading into the game the first time after a patch, the shields and armor on the Javelin will be incorrect. The first time a player enters and exits free play or any other activity, the issue is fixed. They're working on that. Players are not receiving their level 20 match consumables. Players were granted item blueprints instead of the recipes when they hit this level before. Some players may experience audio crackling while in Fort Tarsus. There may be some instances where players are unable to quit out of a quick play mission through the map. A number of challenges may not be tracking properly, such as objectives under the Legendary Freelancer Challenge. Some players may encounter a bug where they're unable to interact with any other players or objects. And some visual effects on Javelin thrusters are not functioning properly while stormy weather is present within the game. Inactivity messages may not be able to be dismissed after a player returns from being away. It kind of sucks if you get that one, but they're working on it. There are a number of Origin error messages for those PC players out there. You may encounter those, including Origin showing that it's offline when it actually is online. The UI may not display events for some players when an event has spawned nearby in free play. Oh, that I really don't like. I'm happy to know that they're working on that, because free play needs improvements. And lastly, there's a bug where armor pips can change in between activities. This is both a displayed and gameplay issue. Yes, they know that the armor and health issue is an actual issue, and they're working on it. Hopefully we can get some more news on that in a future developer live stream or a Twitter post or a Reddit post or whatever it is. Don't worry, when we find out the state of that, I will cover it and you guys will know. Stay here and you'll be officially updated on anything Anthem. Don't worry, I got you. If anybody made it this far in the video, I just want to say thank you. I really, really appreciate it. I really do. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and a share and join the fleet by hitting that sub button. Until then, this sailor be out in the open ocean. Peace. Burn.